Well, let's get everybody in. Let's get everybody in. Come on in. Come on in.
Hey,
We live.
we live. Is I'm live? We live. Hey.
Let's get everybody in. Come on in. We got a real hot show today.
Oh boy.
Let's get it.
Got lip gloss on.
Put it on.
Show.
Yeah, this show gonna be hot. Tag and share.
Mhm.
Listen, we want to get everybody in today. There's a lot going on.
It is.
And we are back at it once again. That's right. Once again, we are back at it. There's a lot going on. And it's 14:50 a.m. That's right. A.M. and 237 Tallahassee's highest grades. It's Hallelujah 95.3 FM.
Free. Here is where bring oh.
What happened? Hey, well, listen. Go ahead and tag and share. Get everybody in. We got a lot going on. A lot going on. Want to say good afternoon, and once again, welcome to, that's right, it's the Greg James Community Show. It's Wake Up Wednesday, and in the studio with me is none other than, you know who it is. Let me get this mic so she can sound in.
Hey,
The conscious chick. How are you today?
listen, I'm feeling a little bit like Lauren LaRosa right now on the Breakfast Club with all these hot topics and all this news stuff that's happening in the streets. Y'all, it's a lot going on.
Oh, there's a lot going on in the streets. And certainly, I want to say to all of you who have greeted us in the last week, told me how inspiring the show was. Listen, the views and the ideas of this show does not reflect the station at all. They are only the views of Greg James and the conscious chick.
The fact that you have got to state that.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta state it.
I
gotta state it because I don't want them to get it mixed up.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on. We're going to tell you just a little bit about what's happening on today. I mean, I think that we got a lot of topics that we're going to talk about. I want to give everybody an opportunity to share, tag. I want you to go ahead on and get involved because look like there's a lot of mismanagement and lack of accountability and public trust going on both at the county and the city.
It's getting messy.
Yeah, look like. So we're going to talk a little about that. It look like over in the county, they got systematic failures. And over in the city, they got what? They got $1 million paid to a scam vendor, and they got a young man who took $30,000 and spent one day in jail. Allegedly. Now, these are just allegedly assumptions that are happening. And I really don't want to call it the city county circus, but it's something that's going on. So, so listen, we got a lot we're going to talk about today. Even at the school board, they're talking about the perception of mismanagement and political retaliation.
Listen, we're living in times where people are paying a lot more attention to things. And it's kind of an oxymoron in a sense, or it's another word for that. Paradox, yeah. That people are calling for more accountability at a time where people are suspending, in my opinion, a lot of political and standard statutory practices in order to arrive at different outcomes. And what I say is that you're doing things outside of what's prescriptive, but now people are calling for you. They call in your card for things based upon prescription. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of this plays out And listen, leadership, we talked about this last time. Leadership is something else, right? You are a leader. And when you're leading, it's complicated. It's complicated. Giving, things that are needed, doing things based on consensus when it's not prescripted or not, necessarily written per se according to statutory process or process in general. No stranger to that. People go outside the box all the time, but now because everything is so highly politicized, you have people calling for accountability. And what does that mean, really?
I mean, when you think about it, it's right that there be a level of accountability. And I think everything that we see that's happening on city level, on county level, even on a school board level, has to do with accountability. And there is so much mismanagement that we're seeing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
And there's alleged mismanagement.
Alleged.
Let's be clear. Mismanagement is in the eye of the beholder, right? Because sometimes mismanagement that you're calling from now was something that was necessary at the time, and you did it. And now we're looking back, or we're looking at it and we're saying, oh, that's mismanagement. So I really want to, that's why I said, what accountability is it? A subjective term, or do we have base statutory? And is it, what is the end that justifies the means, right? Okay. And so I really want to be thinking through that with the audience so that we can really critically go through some of the things that's happening, because it's a lot.
It's a lot. And you know what? I think this is what makes you and I so amazing when we sit in front of each other, because our ultimate goal is to get to the same end.
Yes.
We just take different routes to get there. And I think that's what makes the show so interesting, simply because we understand that political retaliation takes place. We understand that accountability and public distrust happening. We understand that mismanagement does happen, and we understand that people play favorites. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those things. August 1st is the start date for the new president at FAMU.
The start date for the new day.
That's right, new day at FAMU. And we're going to talk a little bit about how all of the outcry was going on. But now, is there any cry at all? And we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Can we add in there the new appointee to the board of trustees that's replacing Lawson?
Yeah, and allegedly now, after being over a decade on the board, I understand, allegedly, there has been some Facebook circulation. I don't know how true it is that he may be looking at a top position in the administrative.
Is that okay?
Okay, so I tell you what, we need to just pause for a song. We need to get a song in here, because today is the day. I made a post today that if you haven't seen it, you need to go to my page, take a look at it. I said, if you're going to be a bridge, then people going to have to pay a toll to cross. So at the end of the day, you ain't getting across the bridge for free, no more. Let's take a break. I'm here with the conscious chick, none other than Christy Hendricks. And we just came off a family reunion. They told me they had my back and I have my boots on. So let's get ready to ride out. Hey, listen, go ahead on the tag and share, those of you who are on our Facebook page. I got a feeling everything gonna be all right. Go ahead on tag and share. Let's get everybody in today. They got a feeling.
Okay.
Go ahead on the tag and share. Let's get everybody in today. It's the Great James Community Show, and I'm here with the conscious chick, Christy Hendricks.
Yes, good.
Yes, okay. What a powerful song.
Necessary song.
Go ahead on the tag share. Let's get everybody in today. It's informative, it's inspiring, and it's noteworthy that you tune in. You got to get involved. It's highly valuable that you get involved in what's going on in our city, in our state, in our county, and in our nation. That's right. Hey, listen, if you got a feeling everything gonna be all right, go ahead on and put some hearts on the screen. And if you're listening to us, if you want to give us a call, 850-671-1450. If you want to let us know you feel like everything gonna be all right, then why don't you do so? But listen, we are back. Where do we start?
Life is always local, and I think that there's a lot going on in the local space to talk about, to understand. Okay, let's not do this. There's things happening in Jacksonville with the young man that was shot, and it punched in the face. Was he shot or punched in the face? Okay, let's make sure we're saying okay. By a sheriff's deputy.
And the thing about that is so disturbing is how could you allow this to go as long as you did without anyone saying anything? And I understand now the Black Attorney General of the nation, Attorney Biggs.
Speaking of Attorney Biggs, okay.
I understand that he has arrived on the scene, and they say he's on the scene, and he's mad at somebody with hemorrhoids. So that being the case, he's kind of upset.
I think the difference here with this case is that you're dealing with a deputy that serves under an African American sheriff. So that's going to make it kind of interesting, right? As it relates to politics and race and assumptions, right? About what that looks like and how that's played out. We have a great sheriff. I'm a big fan of our local sheriff.
Oh, absolutely.
Something like that would happen. Heads would have rolled immediately.
Without a doubt. You got to take a look at the sheriff who's leading our county has been in several leadership roles in state government. So one thing that I can boldly say is that he is a man who's looking for fairness and he's looking for justice. Yes. And he's going to make sure that he do right in the eyes of our Lord.
Right.
Okay, that's so important.
Amen.
Yes. And when you are able to look at situations and you're able to do right in the eyes of the God that you may serve,
yes,
whatever that God may be, then you're going to do right by people. You're going to make sure that justice is seen on the forefront.
Yes.
So certainly big shouts out to Walt McNeil, and I don't know what's going to happen over in Jacksonville. And the thing that I know that when we as African Americans get in leadership, we have to be extra mindful of how we go forth in our roles, because as we can see, and I don't want to shift from the county Duval, but even in the county here in Leon, our clerk of courts is right now dealing with some issues of systemic failures.
Alleged.
We gotta say alleged.
I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says allegedly. Okay, allegedly. All right, hashtag.
And so here's my dilemma is that from my understanding, allegedly back in maybe March or something, it was brought to the clerk's attention that there are departments that are not doing what needs to be done adequately.
Mm.
So I want to ask you this, and you can give me your insight before we dive into it anymore. But as a leader, and we're talking about leaders now, as a leader, how important is it to have people that's in areas of leadership who understands what your vision is, who understands how important it is to know that they must be covering you in the work that they're doing at all times?
So I think that it's, first of all, shout out to all of our several leaders and folks that are functioning within our judicial circuit court system, right?
Absolutely.
It's a very complex system that serves on a lot of different fronts. It serves on the criminal, it serves on the civil, it serves on the administrative, a lot of different fronts, okay?
Absolutely.
I think what we have to understand is what the role of these leaders are. in how they activate teams to carry out their mandates, right? Because a leader is only as good as the team that they activate to carry out the mandates that they have. I was reading some of the social media, and some of the things that people were accusing her of weren't even functions of the Leon County Clerk of Court. Like one guy was talking about she suspended his license and this and that and the other. And we were like, and one commenter said, that's not her job. Her job ain't to suspend. You're talking about the judicial. This isn't what she does. But the role of the Leon County Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller, that's her title, she is the official record keeper and financial officer for the county and the judicial system. Let me make sure that's understood.
Mm-hmm.
She serves as the official record keepers. All records that pass through the courts, all records that are judicially filed within our jurisdiction, they go through her office. That she is the person that is in charge of that administration. She also is the financial officer, the chief financial officer for Leon County. So those are big responsibilities that have to be handed off to persons that are trained to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, because leadership is so gangster, even if people ain't doing their jobs, you get the blame for it, right? And I think some of the complaints that you're talking about were people making complaints about specific areas that are under her watch,
mm-hmm.
that have allegedly not done things correctly or done things properly or done things timely. And so now it becomes an official complaint against her entire office and not against an employee. And so I think that's the way we have to think through it, right? It's not something that maybe the comptroller has done herself. The clerk and comptroller has done herself. It's something that has happened under her leadership that now she has to take responsibility for. And so I think that as we watch this play out, and the judge that filed the complaint against her filed a very in-depth and very descriptive complaint, and it's articulated. It reads like a whoa, right? It's line by line.
But here's the thing, and I want to go back to you defining the role.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that role has two parts to it. All the documentation and all the financial responsibility.
Right.
And inside of that document, there has been a call for neglect of that duty. They're stating that allegedly. Lord, we got to say allegedly. Allegedly. Yeah, it's serious.
That has been decided at this point.
So allegedly documents have been mistaken. There have been allegedly filing things in error, delays. As a matter of fact, I was just doing some research the other night when I saw it, and it states that one young lady was basically arrested and detained unlawfully. So my hopes and my prayer.
And how does that happen? If a warrant is filed improperly, or if
it comes from a division, it has to happen from a division that's perhaps under the role of the clerk's office. So somebody has to take responsibilities for those actions. And I hope and pray that, everything can be worked in the favor of us being able to see from a different lens based on the Chief Justice, Chief Judge Frank Allman making such references to many different things that have transpired. And then I understand that there are some attorneys who have joined their voices to this, as well as a few bail bondsmen. So we are at a critical state, and leadership is so vital. And when we look at it, and this is what kind of disturbs me in a sense, we as a community, where is the outcry? Where is the level of support? I mean, it's like I'm saying to myself, here's a young lady who This is her second term in
Yeah,
office.
and was unopposed.
Yeah, second term. So
Mhm.
evidently,
Ran unopposed her
yeah.
second
So
term.
so
Yeah.
obviously, she's been doing an amazing job.
Mhm.
So how could such a big turnaround happen? And I think that is something that we will only know when we invite someone in to come in and talk about it. So right now, as you say, we are just sharing our thoughts, ideals, and it has nothing to do with the views of Hallelujah 95.
I think you also have to think about it, Pastor James, in this way. What's the motivation?
So
What's the motivation?
So now that you said that,
I don't want to.
so since you said that, so do you feel like there is not just using the clerk, but do you feel like there's motivation behind everything that we see that hits us in the news that can really shift our thought process when it comes to someone, an African American in leadership? Is that what you're saying? What's the
What I'm
motivation?
saying is that Leon County is majority a certain party representation, and it makes it a sticky wicky for certain offices, elected offices, in terms of folks that are not involved in that political designation.
Mhm.
And so she's been elected from a field of folks that ran. She was selected again unopposed, elected again unopposed. Complaints such as the ones that were laid out to me seemed like they could have maybe been handled internally in a way that could have been a little bit more I don't know, proactive.
But now I understand. Let me stick to Pina. I understand that, allegedly, this is
Allegedly.
I understand that.
Because nobody's 100%.
Yeah, I understand from my conversations, and I haven't spoken to her, but I understand from my conversations that this was brought to her attention back in the month of February or March, that there are some serious issues that are going on.
Okay.
There needs to be some action taken. We need to make sure that we can internally take care of whatever it is that's going on.
Sure. Okay.
And here it is now, it's July. So the question becomes, are those statements that I heard true or false? I don't know. That's why I say allegedly I heard. So with that being said, that sheds new light on where we are now.
Right. But I mean, if you're talking about systemic issues that's due to staff thing, or lack thereof, if you're talking about training, if you're February to July is not a long time. If you're talking
if they're repeated
okay
cycles of the same thing over and over again, eventually the eraser that's on the pencil is going to erase out.
Well, maybe, but again, what's the motivation? Is the motivation to heal these systemic issues, or is the motivation to do what's now happening, which is to bring attention for the community wide, to bring redress and to bring scrutiny and to bring because some of the ugliness that I've heard from people of other leanings, that's been where most of the ugliness has come.
Right.
So that's why it makes me think: is this something that could have been handled differently internally? Because what's at stake here is the integrity of the system, right? She's not a politician that just represents consensus like our honorable elected official. She represents systemic process within our community.
Absolutely.
And so I think that when you bring conversation that undermines the trust of those, I mean, we already heard she's over the official records and she's over the fiscal. When you get a check from the county, it's coming from Gwen Marshall. It ain't coming from
Judge Almond.
Vince. It's not coming from it. It's coming from Gwen Marshall. And so I think that these things need to be handled in a different way. So
right.
For it to be handled this way brings me great pause, right? But I'm hoping to see it resolved because the system still has to work and function for the people, right? But what will happen to the trust of the people in the system as a result of what happens?
Right. Well, I tell you, the thing about it is, I think we're at a place now where the people is really in a place where they have to open their eyes and understand how vital it is to stay abreast of what's happening and how vital it is to know that they have a voice in everything that takes place. So here we are on the air, and I'm grateful for your show, The Conscious Chick. I'm grateful for my show, The Wake Up Wednesday, which is a wake up. Yeah. And I think that we get on the air to really challenge people. It's nothing that we are saying against or for. It's nothing. It's more than wake up. Yeah. Let your conscience become awakened to what's going on. That's right. And let's see. So when we look at this situation and circumstance that we're facing with the county and with the clerk's office, you feel, I believe, in your own opinion, that what's the motivation? So we'll leave that at there, and we're going to encourage all of our listeners. Hey, let's get involved, let's get engaged, and let's see what's happening with the chaos that's happening at the county, and move on. But let me throw this in there before you leave this. Okay. And that's the reason why they feel like officers that are over systems should be appointed and not elected, right? Because it is a different nuance. You can't consensusly pick. I mean, we've been blessed to have some pretty good consensus picks, but it's more complicated and more nuanced. Take, for instance, the superintendent, Leon County superintendent. There's some conversation, right, and some ideas that maybe the superintendent doesn't need to be elected. Maybe he needs to be appointed. Maybe we need to hire the superintendent, and have it more as a managerial commission-based framework, like our city commission, like our county commission. And so there's some calls for that, because things are changing. And I think that this is a good conversation to have, because the polity of it may cause more problems than just the straight out job or response or managerial aspect of it, because there are things that may not play into consensus that have to happen under a managerial construct that maybe our current systems don't either support or don't really understand. And so I think that this is a bigger question, and these systemic failures that we see, right, and the things that we see, and the things that we audit in terms of back and forth conversation. There's a systemic answer to all of our questions, right? Why is this? Well, it should be apparent, because they're functioning as heads of systems. So it's going to come out systemically what's happening, and then there's going to be some calls for it to be corrected, right? And that's how systems work. You get what I'm saying? And so I think that we as a community need to understand the difference. The property appraiser's office is a systemic position, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not, Akeem, my brother, Dr. Akeem, he's not going out and auditing these properties. He got teams of people whose responsibility it is to do the assessment and the valuation and all the things statutorily he has to do. Is that an office that should be an elected office, or is it something in some counties they hire this person, right? And so it's a conversation that needs to happen. That needs to be had. And the thing about it, I think you said something that's really, really key, is that sometimes the political interference can really, really hurt the constituents in a way that they didn't bargain for. I mean, here it is. Since you mentioned it, here it is at Leon County School. We realized that it's a lot of political retaliation. Allegedly, that's happening. Allegedly. We got to say that. When we come in here, we're going to say 95.3 Greg James Community Show, allegedly. Conscious Chick, 95.3, allegedly. So, and the thing about it is, Christy, and I think this is so important for our people that's listening to the broadcast to understand that you've got to have a voice in what's happening in every facet of our community. You cannot sit by idly and say it doesn't matter. And just like and big shouts out to Henry Lynn, a young man on the south side that had, and a lot of them came together to have the Holton Street
that was
reunion.
Huge.
That was really huge.
Huge.
Big
shout out to the Holton Street Planning Committee.
Yeah.
And no incidents.
No incidents.
No incidents.
No
It was a
incidents.
peaceful, nice gathering. It was thick over there.
It was great. I mean, and I think that I want to say this because I had a chance to talk to a lot of the young men that were over there about voting, and just to hear them say, man, Greg, I hear you, but man, what does it matter? I mean, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. I mean, here it is. We try to do stuff. We can't get partnerships. We can't get, city, county. We can't get leaders. And I mean, so they have valid points, and it's their way of understanding and sharing their concerns. I mean, here it is. I'm over there, the grass. I'm walking in grass almost to my knee. It was just that big, but this was something that was planned. So the grass should have been cut, and that made them feel some kind of way. So when guys are in the community, Henry Lynn, he was one of our Joseph awardees, a young man who served time back in the community, and doing amazing work, doing what he can to help deter some of the problems that he sees. And he's doing it with the help of other men in the community. And so when you gather with these guys and you hear their hearts, they not coming to the board meetings, they're not coming to the different meetings that's taking place, but they have a voice and they have a concern. But they feel so many times nobody's listening. So I'm excited about, like I was telling them, we're in the process of planning something with the guys who do the North Side reunion and the South Side reunion. We're in the process of gathering our men committee, and I'm grateful for all the men who said, hey, I'm interested. And, like they applauded me for what I do, I applauded them for what they do, because what they do is more valuable than what I do, because they're on the grounds day by day, making sure that these children get meals. I mean, he gives out meals from his food truck for children that he know when they get home are not going to eat, So people who have their hands on the masses in the community, that's where we need to put the funding to make sure they can go on. But anyway, let's move on to something else. I mean, there is something that is really mind-blowing to me, and I haven't really wrapped my mind around this as of yet. A young man over at the city engaged in city payroll fraud.
Oh dear.
Over $28,000. And I don't know whether it was a mistake or manipulation, but he gets 1 day in jail and 1 day of probation. And that's it. Now, here's the deal. Here is the deal. This charge, which is a felony charge, carries up to 30 years in prison. Anytime you embezzle over $20,000, it carries up to 30 years in prison. But there can be, at the judge's discretion, with a plea agreement, a different type of sentencing at play. But here's a man now who used dead people from allegedly, I'm just using allegedly, who used dead people information, created fake files, and paid himself mistakenly over $30,000, allegedly. And
I don't know if that's alleged. Didn't he get arrested?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether it was real or not.
Probation and
okay, so this is real then.
That something has happened.
Okay, I was saying allegedly because I just didn't think that this was true. But since you say he got arrested and he got 1 day in jail and 1 day of probation, and he used dead folk information and created fake user profiles, and with that being said, had over 39 felony counts, then And I'm trying to discover what nationality he was, because I know if it was somebody from my community, they ain't got to take 20,000. They'll probably get 5, 6, 10 years. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, where is, and you said it earlier, justice is in the eyes of those who are looking.
He overpaid himself $28,634.80 is what the court record showed.
So that's not a
He
legend.
was sentenced last month for 39 felony criminal charges, including grand theft, organized scheme to defraud, criminal use of personal identification information, and offense against computer systems to obtain property. They showed that the employee manipulated payroll logs to increase his compensation. He used multiple fake user profiles he created in the city system. This is crazy. But you know,
so let's talk about now.
He agreed to probation and to pay back the fines, and in exchange, he does not have a conviction on his record.
Okay, he does not have a conviction.
Let's go back. Judge Stephen Everett ordered the employee, I won't say his name because I don't want us to have no problems. And you can find it online if you're looking for it, we'll post it. Ordered the employee, the former employee, he's no longer employed, adjudication withheld. This is something that anyway, that means that he agreed to probation and to pay back fines. And in exchange, he does not have a conviction on his record. He was sentenced to 1 day in jail, 1 day of probation, and restitution on all 39 charges.
I wonder, who did he know? I'm just saying. I'm wondering.
That is because, you know, there's two sides of this, right? There's the administrative side where the employer, right, is bringing charges, right? And then there's the other side, the criminal side, right? You stole something.
But
is
not
there
only that. Listen, 850-671-1450. I want to hear your thoughts on this. 850-671-1450. I mean, not only embezzlement, but you use deceased.
It says in the report
Does it say that?
He willfully and knowingly accessed city systems and files on the city's network, then manipulated the files and data therein without authorization and in violation of the law.
Okay.
And you know, this is astounding.
850-671-1450.
This is some favor. Look. You want to talk about God's? This is some favor right here. This is what you call FAVOR. If you are reading this, it is in the city of Tallahassee, in Leon County.
Hey, 850-671-1450.
This is called favor.
This is called favor.
It is called whatever kind of favor you want to call it. This is favor, honey.
Well, give us a call if you got any thoughts, ideas. We just having a conversation right here on the Greg James. Somebody just spoke, and he's eligible to have his record expunged. Wow.
Well, and the question is, how does this impact retirement?
Well,
so I think this is absolutely astounding. This is favor. Lord, grant me this kind of favor. Just
create fake fine.
I ain't gonna do that, but this is some favor right here. This is some real favor. And staying with that, there's a call, for, and let me put this in context. The city has enjoyed the ability to have minimal incidents in this regard, right? In terms of people actually doing crazy. Now in 2019, there was a couple of incidents in 2019, one in 2024 where somebody got missing. And they have insurance policies and bonding and all kinds of things to recover. So administratively, right, this is not the issue. They got it handled administratively. But to your astonishment and mine,
I'm walking the courts hallways day in and day out. I'm meeting, I'm pleading day in and day out. I'm looking for, and I'm grateful for some of the opportunities that provide men with a second chance for an alternative when it comes to prison. I'm grateful, but when I saw this and when I read this, it was mind-boggling. Because first, I want to know who is that attorney that was able to manage that. Because I've seen situations and just, I mean, so I mean, I'm just anyway. That's
a lot.
That's
It's a
that.
lot.
But not only that, now we're talking
Mhm.
about 30,000 from an employee. There's $1 million vendor scam
Right.
that is taking place at the city. That's ongoing
From the vendor.
from the vendor.
Right. And
So-
and let's put this in context.
Let's
the
do it.
vendor that they're speaking of handles certain functions of payment for the city, right? And that's an easy catch, right?
Mhm.
Somebody's gonna be held accountable for it. But it just, for me, the problem is, why are people stealing like this? Why? That's like me getting an agreement with you, and you say you're gonna pay me this much if I do this, but then I decide, oh, I'm gonna take more, and they ain't gonna miss it. You ain't gonna miss $1 million. I know we $1 billion administration. I know that we have $1 billion budget in Leon County, in Tallahassee, city of Tallahassee. But you don't think we was gonna miss $1 million?
Well, I think that it's an ongoing investigation, but at the end of the day, I think people must be held accountable for their actions, and certainly we're going to keep our eyes on this.
Something
And,
interesting is a lot of people calling for transparency.
Transparency,
They're
absolutely.
calling for more. They're calling for it to make more sense. I guess make it make sense,
Yeah.
right? I think that's what I hear. And sticking with issues of
Making it make sense.
of making it make sense.
Christian Caban has just been appointed to the Tallahassee State University.
Good for him. It's in his district. Good for him. If you're listening to me, Commissioner Christian Caban,
I'm just,
good for you. It's in your district. You need to be in. And let me put this in context.
I'm just saying. I mean, when I look at
me
it,
also.
but I'm just saying. I mean, is he still thinking about running for mayor? I mean, that was something high on the list. And when I see the appointment, and if he's running for mayor, then allegedly, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
I think, mayoral conversation aside, I think that this is probably the most wise appointment. And he was appointed by DeSantis administration to that position. Obviously, he probably was a request by TSC to be appointed there, because there's a process of discovery and then appointment. But it's in his district. It's dealing with the people. And I was looking at some information. Shout out to Dr. Anika Williams, who is doing the most in terms of helping us understand the value of our education systems. And she did a comparison between a middle school in a school in Fort Brady, and a middle school in Leon County, in middle schools in Leon County, elementary schools in Leon County. And she was comparing Fort Brady to another higher performing middle school. Not middle school, but elementary school. And I'll post her stuff because I feel like I'm jacking it up. But it was the thing that caught me in her data that she provided was the absenteeism of the students in the schools in the elementary schools in Fort Brady. Okay. And understanding that is his district, there's a huge workforce development need and opportunity all over Leon County, but definitely in areas, and we tend to not think about Fort Brady, right? Because it ain't north side, it ain't south side, it ain't hot spots that we usually target things at. But Fort Brady needs a lot of development. It's rural. It used to be kind of sleepy, where folks just kind of retired and fished. Now there's people out there, there's families out there, there's a lot of issues out there as a suburb of Tallahassee that he, within his district representative context, has to address. And so I think that appointment is probably a pretty key appointment for his political trajectory. I congratulate him, and I think he's a good pick.
Okay. Well, you're in,
I won't get into the,
it's, the thing about,
from a global level.
I mean, look at it. And from the political landscape,
Right.
there's always
Sure.
movements on the political board that are making more noise than we're able to see.
Right.
So, I mean, when you talk about the political landscape, then we got to say, okay, what does this mean politically? Because I understand he's allegedly aspiring to run for mayor. I don't know how true that is, but I understand that, that has been his conversation. Now, whether that's happening or not, I don't know. And so everything that happens in the political realm, every move that is made is only a move to put wind beneath your wings.
Just pieces.
Yeah. So we cannot, the Bible said, don't be ignorant of the devil's devices. And I'm not saying this is the devil, but I'm just saying, don't be ignorant of devices that you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason.
But it makes sense, right? So if we're talking about make it make sense.
It makes sense. Absolutely.
Okay.
If that's the goal and the desire, then and still to this day, we really don't know who's running for mayor.
Well, let's talk about that.
We don't know who's running for mayor.
A political newcomer is vying for the city's top post, according to the Tallahassee Democrat.
Yeah, but he's ineligible.
He's facing disqualification from the mayoral race after the city commission quietly passed an ordinance that amends the eligibility criteria for local elections.
Wow.
What is that? The eligibility requirements is that registered electors who have resided in the city's limits for at least 1 year are eligible to run for office. And Cameron Cooper, if you're out there listening or you know somebody who goes by Cameron Justice, that's his street name, will not meet this criteria in time for the 2026 election. This is something.
Well, I mean, here it is again. It's the political pieces that's on the political board that have just been shifted to eliminate. I mean, so this is the thing that we do here at the Great James Community Show is Wake Up Wednesday. And basically, we're just sharing our own opinions and ideas. And I have to keep saying this because after we left the show last week, I probably had 8 or 9 people to call me. I ran into some people like, oh, what you and Christine doing? We're just having a conversation, and it's our opinions and our views. And so I think, and I did reach out to him, and because I did want to get him on the show, but I haven't been able to follow back up with him because I've been extremely busy. But when I read it and I saw it, I was a little bit disturbed by it. First of all, a young man having a zeal to run for office, I think that is amazing. But secondly, to find out that within a matter of a quietly resolved, he was ineligible, I think that does something to the system when it comes to how we do things.
So he formally, when was his formal? He went and did his paperwork. Was that June or was that May?
I think he did it in June.
I think he did it in June. So it was introduced to the commission on the 14th of May. And according to the clerk of court, the city clerk, not the clerk of court, the city clerk, it was passed at the June 11 meeting. So maybe, perhaps, his in the process of this, and maybe this was something that wasn't understood was going to happen. Mm-hmm. They went to the Leon County Supervisors of Election Office to ensure it complied with state law and was consistent with our office's practice and reasonable in nature. So the timeline of this is, but
it's questionable.
It's a little iffy. It's a little side eye kind of, but the question is if it was introduced on the 14th of May prior to him formally declaring, if it was something that was in the streets and in the water that he would declare prior to then that's something that wasn't something that reached me in May. I didn't know until June. Right. So I think that is something for us to think about. I don't have a problem with them requiring people live here before they get elected here. I think that'll stave off a lot of foolishness.
But there are a lot of people who live other places get elected and who they have certain challenges.
Right.
I mean, we've seen that happen on state level and on local level. So it just raises the eyebrows to know that if he's in the race and whoever is vying for the position, it's a possibility that his presence as a young man has a great following, it could interfere. I mean, it's kind of like
that's
it's kind of
what
like
interferes.
when the young man ran for mayor some time ago. Oh God, what's his name? He's serving time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Leland.
Leland. So when he ran for office,
Leland Whitfield.
I mean, the alarming 3 to 4% of the voters that he got placed our mayor and the young lady who ran against him into a runoff. And so you know, I mean, Mr. Justice could have been a spoiler present. So to avoid that. So, hey, listen, these are our views, these are our opinions. And beginning in the month of August, we got a lot of special guests that are going to be coming on. So we're excited about it. And certainly we're excited about the future of our city and our county. And I'm excited about one of the things that I'm excited about the fact that I'm meeting people that's on the ground level, the grassroots level, that are tuned into the broadcast and that are thankful for the conversations that we're having.
Yeah, I'd like to put out a call to partnership as well, because I think that we need to take these conversations to the street. I had the opportunity to spend a tremendous amount of time on a phone interview with someone that was curating information on just how people are getting resources and how effective the press and the media are in helping to ensure that resources get out to the street. And a lot of conversation that happens in that is, you know, the question of translation, the question of accessibility.
Absolutely.
The newspaper costs money. You know, it costs money to subscribe to certain channels. And so some of that conversation happened. But one idea that came out of the conversation that I re-enlisted, because you and I both, we did this, we walked this, you know, when we were in this, we're doing the peacemakers and we were, headed out in the community, doing, we were having community conversations on the street, we were having community conversations in the corner. We were listening to people and toting that water, right, to people who would listen. And I thought that it was interesting as they listened to me. This is not, nobody that we know in the community that was giving me this interview. It was really a kind of a national conversation. And I just thought to myself, we got to get back to the streets. We got to get back to where it's happening, because I think the disconnect is happening is because the people who are connected have either been burnt out, overwhelmed, or they're trying to just a balanced life, and we just haven't had the ability to get on fire and really make local. We got a lot of national movements happening. We're going into a political year. 2026 is a political year. It's a midterm political year, and I think we need to be conscious, and we need to be responsible to make sure people understand what's at stake.
And not only must we be conscious and what's the other word you just said? Conscious and something else you just said. It's slipping me. But I want to say this. We must be intentional.
Yeah.
We must be intentional. And I mean, I got to go back to this event on Holter Street because it really ignited something in me, just to have conversation with young men who perhaps may sit up under the tree and drink or smoke, whatever they may do, but they are aware of what's happening in city government. They're aware of what's happening in the county. They're aware. And the thing about it is, not only are they aware, but they want some kind of involvement, but they feel like their involvement does not matter. So I'm excited. I had a chance to talk with your husband, Carlos, because he was up there as well, meeting and greeting. But I'm excited about the fact that these men are businessmen. They are entrepreneurs, because why? No one will hire them. So they created their jobs, and they are employing people right in their community who works for them. So I mean, right in front of my house, there's a young man who's doing the concrete work that I know, formerly incarcerated. But guess what? He got 4 more guys with him that look like him, that been where he's been, and all of them getting the work done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying there is a network of individuals that are out there that my goal is to get them engaged. My goal is to get them so on fire that every creek, every corner, every avenue, every boulevard is impacted with information that's leading people to become inspired and leading people to march to the polls and vote. Meet at City Hall, just sit in and listen. Meet at the courthouse, county, meet at the school board, just listen, make your presence. And that's I'll be turning 65 here this
65, this week, 26.
So that's my mandate. That's the fight, that's the chapter I'm in. And I'm convinced that these young men and these young ladies who have gone through horrific moments in their life don't have to be counted out because people are not counting on them.
Right.
So,
well, I think that and I know we have just 2 minutes to go, but I think that we have to be intentional and plan for their success. We have to promote those ideas for success more than we're just sailing the wind of the political climate at this time. Because as you know, shout out to folks that are trying to make a way for themselves, that are trying to make a way out of no way for themselves to feed their family. And it's a lot more of them than those that are riding the system. And I think that needs to be said. There's a lot more men out there that aren't waiting for somebody to give them something. They're willing to go out and make it happen for themselves. Their families are supporting them. Their community are supporting them and want them to win. And I think that's the spirit of this show. We want the community to win. It's not enough for us to be utilized to help people and personalities win. The community needs a win. What does that win look like? And how do we translate that as a win through the communication on the show? That's what I'm interested in.
Absolutely. And I think one of the greatest things that we can do and have been doing is to ensure for those who we're in contact with that we are working to get a solution to your problem. We're working to find an answer to your question. We are working to make sure that your voice is heard.
Yes.
And I think that is the greatest responsibility that we can have. And certainly I am of this opinion as I go into this chapter of my life is that I cannot and I will not stand with you, echo your message if you really don't have the heart of the people. It's one thing to say that you hear me. It's another thing to say you want to help me. The Bible talks about a young man who fell by the roadside. He was beaten, he was wounded, he was left for dead. And the people who he thought would help him walked by. But the person who did not have any dealings with that nationality stopped, put him on his beast, took him into the inn, said, take care of him, and whatever is owed, I'll come back and pay. I'm not looking for no reward. I'm not looking for validation. I'm not looking for a pat on the back. When we elect people to serve, they got to serve the least, the last, and the lost. Don't talk about what you're going to do for me prior to getting in your position and then get in your position and fail to carry out on at least hearing the conversation or even creating the conversation. And I've seen that in so many instances. And I promise myself that as we move forward in this political climate that we're in, the people have to be at the forefront of any person's political agenda.
Amen and amen again.
Amen and amen again. Well, it's been another amazing show. I'm excited. We're moving into August. We got a lot of great guests coming on the show. Former interim president, he's going to be joining us. Representative Gallup Franklin is going to be joining us. Senator Corey Simon. We got some people
coming.
Line it up. We'll line them up.
We're going to translate the headline.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some people who are coming from national levels to address what's going on. And it's only right here on the Greg James Community Show with the Conscious Chick and myself, where you're going to get informed, inspired, and engaged. Listen, meet me Sunday morning at 9:50. It's celebration. One of my good friends is in town who lived here for many, many years, and he's been gone for well over a long time. And that's Brother Gregory Ayers. He's a pastor out in Texas, and he grew up in the neighborhood and just happened to be coming back the same weekend as my birthday. And I just thought it would be rewarding for me to invite him to share with us at Life Church. If you don't have anything to do, come on out and be with us. That's 9:50 a.m. Pastor Gregory Ayers, right there from the Griffin Heights community. We used to all hang out and run up and down the streets together. Now, him and his wife established in Texas, entrepreneurs, pastors, and he leads the ministerial conference in that area. So I'm excited about it. Anything you want to say before we leave there?
Shout out to the Family Worship and Praise Center for their upcoming Shoes for School movement. They are appealing. Shout out to Pastor Quincy Griffith, who's also a July baby.
Oh, wonderful.
And the congregation, they are in their last and final push, working to get and raise $25,000 to ensure that they can deliver for our babies, for their feet. Talk about your boots on the ground. We need their feet on the streets to school. Okay. And School Shoes for School has served this region's area. They've over, I think, 7,000 pairs of shoes distributed to families within our region. They need their last push, $25,000. I'm going to make my contribution today. I hope you will join us in our listening and viewership audience. If you have any questions, go online to shoes4schools.org. Shoesforschool.org. We'll make sure we post that. I think I've been sharing the communication online, but well-worthy cause, regional impact. Let's make sure that we support that. And I want to add that it'll be taking place not at FSU's Donald Tucker Civic Center. It will happen at the Al Lawson Multipurpose Center over at FAMU this year. So it'll be in the community. It'll be accessible to the community. And we just look forward to being a glorious time of service to our neighbors and helping our children get a good start for school this year.
Big shouts out to Quincy Griffin, Pastor Bishop, for such a great vision. I guess he took that from the scriptures that say, how beautiful are the feet of those who carry the gospel.
Amen.
So we put shoes on our young people as they get ready for school. Well, God bless you. Listen, have a wonderful day. And once again, I look forward to seeing you 9:50 a.m. Life Church International. If you don't have nothing to do, come out and celebrate with us. Until next week, you be blessed. And in the meantime and between time, the favor of God is over your life. Hey, listen, it's been an amazing show. Thank you all for joining. Hey, we'll see you back next week.
I'll take care.